Well, good afternoon and welcome to Mondays with Michael Live here on Facebook. Um, I want to wish a happy Columbus Day to all of my Italian American amici. For those of you watching here on Facebook or watching later on, happy Columbus Day, part of Italian American Heritage Month, celebrating a lot of great things Italian Americans did for this country by coming over. So today we're going to take a little break from our usual Mondays with Michael, and I thought I would share with you a couple stories of Italian Americans who I feel at least made an impact on American society, American business, and American culture, and some of the leadership skills that I think each of them demonstrated in doing what they did. So I'm going to go to my notes as I normally do, um, and let's see where this takes us. So the first person I wanted to highlight for you today, and for those of you who haven't been on my Facebook post today or page today, I put out a pretty long Facebook post today about Columbus Day and kind of what it meant, what it does mean, and what it has meant to Italian Americans. Throw in a little history. I put in some quotes along the way, some information from the National Italian American Foundation. So if you haven't got a chance to check it out, go check it out yet. Just some thoughts from an Italian American um, on Columbus Day. So the first person I want to talk about is Peter Giannini. Peter Giannini was born in 1870 and died in 1949. He was the Italian-American banker who founded the Bank of Italy. Um, he founded the Bank of Italy in 1904, and his bank was a converted saloon into an institution. And one of the things that was noted for his bank at the time was that his bank actually gave loans to small businesses and to individuals. There were a lot of banks during that time, but only serviced the wealthy and large business. He really changed the model and really was somebody who really helped what we call the hardworking, a lot of different immigrants banked with him. But I guess his biggest claim to fame was after the 1906 San Francisco earthquake and fires, which really destroyed most of the city of San Francisco. Right after the earthquake, he moved his vault into his home outside of the city zone, outside of the damage area, and he started giving loans out right away to all the small businesses and homeowners whose lives were pretty much destroyed in the earthquake. If you ever seen pictures of the earthquake from 1906, it's just devastating. But he really saved a lot of small business owners, a lot of individuals, Italians, and all those who were not Italian, but did a yeoman's job. He showed a lot of empathy, and that's my leadership skill I'm going to highlight with Mr. Giannini. He showed a lot of empathy, was really concerned about the community and what the community was going through. Eventually, the Bank of Italy merged and was kind of, I don't know if it was taken over, but at least according to the documents here, what I read online, they kind of merged it with the Bank of America. Bank of America, he actually served on the board of Bank of America, and he felt it'd be great if the banks merged. So the Bank of Italy went away, and and again, having the Bank of Italy at that time was probably not great for a lot of American folks. But by merging with the Bank of America, made one of the biggest banks at that time. And as you know, Bank of America is still one of the biggest banks. Matter of fact, we bank at Bank of America. It's kind of cool for me when I go there because I kind of know the story and it kind of feels like the Bank of Italy for me. So, but the leadership skill demonstrated by him, I felt, was empathy, especially right after the fires and the destruction of San Francisco. The second leader I wanted to highlight today was Lee Iacocca. And a lot of you remember Lee Iacocca. Lee Iacocca worked in the car industry. He was part of the team that developed the Ford Mustang and Pinto cars, for those of you remember Pintos. He also was the CEO and chairman of Chrysler. And in 1979, Chrysler was having a tough time, and he went to the government looking for what we now call a bailout. Imagine this, 1979. Never really heard of, but the government did give him and his company a lot of money to save the company, and he took the money and they used the money, and during that time, he actually invented the minivans. I thought that was kind of cool. But he really did a yeoman's job. If you remember correctly, he did a lot of the ads. He went on TV and said, if you can find a better car, buy it. But I think our cars are the best. They eventually paid the loan back to the government with interest and before it was due. And he was really proud of that fact. his determination and his skill, I want to highlight from a leader today, is his determination kept Chrysler alive and kept all those jobs alive. He was appointed by President Reagan to the Statue of Liberty Ellis Island Foundation, helped to restore Ellis Island. For those who Italian Americans know, a lot of our ancestors came through Ellis Island, so he was on the foundation that restored the statue, restored the island, and brought a lot of pride back. Brought a lot of pride back to that institution. So his was determination, really, really, really strong determination. The next Italian American leader I wanted to talk to you about was Vince Lombardi. I'm going to go from business to sports. And many of you know that Vince Lombardi was an American football coach. He coached the New York Giants as an assistant coach. Eventually became the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. A very religious man, very devout man, went to church almost every day. But he led Green Bay Packers to two world championships, 3 in a row actually. He won the first 2 Super Bowls, as you remember, with the Green Bay Packers. And for me, the leadership skill I highlighted for Mr. Lombardi was inspiration. If you listen to any of his locker room talks, he just inspired the heck out of his people. Some people would say scared him to death. But if you were a player in the locker room, you really wanted to win. You were a Green Bay Packer. You know, it was God, country, and football. And you know, he really pressed that fact. He really inspired people to really play above what they really could play. Did a great job. And for me, being an Italian American, knowing that the Lombardi Trophy, which is the trophy given to the winning team every year at the Super Bowl, is the Lombardi Trophy, named after Vince Lombardi. It's kind of cool for an Italian American to know that there's an Italian American on the greatest football trophy, or the greatest trophy, some people would say in sports. Some will say Stanley Cup, so I got to give that some kudos. But as far as an American sport, there's an Italian American on that trophy every year, so it makes us feel pretty good. And the fourth one, the last one today I wanted to talk about, a little close to my heart, is Geraldine Ferraro. So Geraldine Ferraro, as you know, was a congresswoman from New York. She was an American politician, diplomat, and attorney. She served in the House from 1979 to 1985 from the city of New York, one of the boroughs. But she's probably best known and well respected, and a sense of pride for Italians, that she was the first female vice presidential candidate in the United States on a national ticket in 1984 as Walter Mondale's VP choice. And it brought not only a lot of pride to American women, and rightly so, because women have been fighting for this for a long time, but there was a lot of pride in the Italian American community to know it was an Italian American woman who was the first on the ticket of a national ticket. As we all know, they lost that race to Reagan and Bush that year in 1984, but she went on to run a couple more times. She actually lost to Senator Schumer in the race that he eventually won to become the senator from New York. She eventually served as an ambassador. And she had some ups and downs with her husband. As for those you remember some of the things why she really get back into politics, some of her husband's business dealings were under investigation. You know how that goes sometimes, most of that's politics. But there were some legitimate things they looked at. But for Geraldine, I gave her the leadership skill as resilience. Resilience. Because let's be honest, to be the first woman on a national ticket, you took a lot of stuff from a lot of people. But she was very resilient. She kept her pride. She was just awesome at what she did. The speech at the National Convention, you could tell there were women crying at that speech. I know there were a lot of Italians watching that night that were also crying because of the sense of pride for the Italian American community. So those are my thoughts on 4 leaders on Columbus Day. I thought I'd highlight some of their skills. I am highlighting other leaders and other Italian American stories this month. I'm taking a little bit of a forward-thinking, forward-leaning into our Italian American heritage here. I hope you guys are okay with that. If you like it, you can continue reading. I will post things a few times a week about some of the Italian American folks and some of our Italian American history that may not be known to those in today's 2020 timeframe. So I think that's it for me today. I'm coming up on our time here. I want to thank you for hanging out with me today on a little special Mondays with Michael Live. For my Italian brethren, have a great Columbus Day. Have some pasta, have a glass of wine, celebrate your heritage because it's awesome. Take care. See you next week.